All right, folks, welcome to Reports, Exports, and Ease of Use. We'll get started here in just a second. Welcome to Recurly. It's fantastic to have you on board. I assume that most folks joining us today are brand new to the platform. You may have just signed up with us. This may be your first billing platform. Maybe you're coming from a different platform, so maybe you've got some experience with this kind of thing. But today we're going to be talking all about the type of reports Recurly offers. We'll look at the exports, automated exports, and then just generally the ease of use of the platform. To give you a little background here, this is a learning path series. So this is part one of a four-part series. We also have tracks on support, so getting your support agents up and running, implementation and integration, so kind of walking through how to get your Recurly site live, all of the most important and crucial elements. And then last but certainly not least, decision makers. So kind of the high level overview of what Recurly does, how it's important to your tech stack, and how we stand out from our competition. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. We'll take a look at our agenda, and I promise I won't keep you more than a half hour. We should be wrapping up even a few minutes before that. So we're going to take a look at the Recurly UI. We'll do a brief overview of what that looks like, and then we'll take a deep dive into our analytics, so all 11 of our dashboards. And then we will take a look at our exports, revenue recognition, our accounting integrations, and then a quick question and answer session. So my name is Alex Kroll. I'm a customer operations specialist here at Recurly. My job is to make sure that our merchants are getting the most value out of the program as possible. So during these learning paths, it's my job to inform you on best practices, inform you on all of our most crucial features, identify common problems that come up when you're executing in the Recurly platform, and just overall make sure you have less headaches than you would have otherwise, if someone wasn't here to help out. We like to think Recurly is a pretty easy tool to navigate and understand just after a couple of sessions of using. So this process here of learning paths will really help you deep dive into the program and get introduced to some stuff more quickly and see more things than you would have otherwise. So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll kick into app.recurly.com. So that's where I'm at now. I am in a sandbox account, so that means anything we adjust or look at now is not real information. It's just based off of my sandbox environment. Now, your company probably has a sandbox environment already created, which is fantastic. Sandbox is exactly as it sounds. This is where you can play around. This is where you can run fake transactions, look at fake dashboards, really replicate anything that you would like to see live, except in a consequence-free zone. So on the left side is your navigation menu, starting with the Recurly logo. So this is where we can see everything we can possibly navigate to within your account. Now, you might not be seeing all of these different options just if you have restricted access. So maybe you can't see admin and integrations. Maybe you can only see configuration, analytics, and customers. That's fine. Talk to your administrator, whoever's giving you access, and just understand the extent of the capabilities of your particular access. So pretty straightforward in terms of navigation. So our customers tab here is where you're going to execute all of those common functionalities when it comes to pausing, refunding, canceling, posting invoices, postponing subscriptions, really just looking up anything about your customer subscriptions. That takes place here in customers. So typically you'll see a support agent navigating through accounts, subscriptions, gift cards, invoices, and transactions. And that is the extent of their access. Now, for the folks on the call here, we're going to spend the majority of our time in analytics. This place is really fun. This is where we can see, everything flowing into the Recurly account kind of come alive. So we've got all sorts of different dashboards. And the first one we'll start with here is just our overall dashboard. This is a great way to just get a snapshot on the business, get a look at, kind of a taste of each one of the dashboards we offer, all kind of bundled up into one. So we can see our total subscribers here. We can see our MRR. We can see our plans by subscription, our lifetime value. We can see our net billings, etc. So just a nice snapshot overall of what you're looking for. So maybe if this is where you log in first thing every morning, just review metrics, make sure nothing is looking funny or out of ordinary, such as this dip right here. That might be something to look into. But otherwise, everything is looking good. So let's dive into the individual dashboards. And as we cruise through here, we're going to go through pretty quickly, but you're going to begin to see a trend. So subscribers here. And overall, they're pretty straightforward. So bear with me if a little bit of this information is redundant. So in subscribers, it speaks for itself, right? We're seeing our total subscribers. We're seeing our subscriber growth. So we're looking at churn. We're looking at new, returning, and then our net. So our dashboards kind of work, in a particular order here. So we've got overall metrics up top. So we've got our total active. Again, this is a sandbox account, so you're not seeing a whole lot of information, but I've got 1 active, I've got 1 last month, 3 the previous month, etc. Then you get into our visualization. So it really just depends on what kind of data ingester you are. So if you like to visualize things, this is the place to be. This is the section. This is where we can also filter. So if I want to see it daily, weekly, or monthly, if I want to filter out a specific date. So for example, if the holidays are approaching and we want to review dashboards right around end of year, or maybe we want to review in early January to see if, we had some sort of coupon that was active and we wanted to get new subscribers added in, what's our customer acquisition cost, that type of thing. You can always filter out specific dates for specific periods and looking at specific metrics. So as we continue to scroll down, you're going to see subscribers. So a different way to ingest this data. This is more of a spreadsheet style, rows and columns, and it can be downloaded just by clicking download CSV. So if you need to quickly come in here, download some metrics, you can do so right here. And we'll talk about exports in just a few minutes. Plans. This one's really important. It's also really cool to look at a complete breakdown of your plans. So how many folks are on plan A? How many are on plan B? Pretty straightforward. Trial performance. So if your company offers a trial, this is a great dashboard. Check on your conversions. If you don't offer a trial, doesn't really apply to you, but in this dashboard, that, maybe if you want to try experimenting with a trial period, you can do so in the future, knowing that Recurly has you covered in terms of metrics. So you're probably noticing a trend by now. Again, we've got our top line up top here. We've got our graph, our visualization style digesting, and then we also have our spreadsheet style, so rows and columns. So as we continue to go through these dashboards, you're going to see that same format, unless it's a different style of dashboard, such as subscriber retention, and we'll get to that in a second. But you can always filter, you can always see top line, and then you can always scroll down and just look at individual numbers per month, okay? And they can all be downloaded right here from the particular sheet. So if I go to subscriber retention, this one's going to change up the format a bit. We're going to see the visualization here. So you can see those that signed up in January 2020. It was just 1 subscriber. They churned after month 3, and then that went into the red. So kind of cool visualization here depending on the time of year. Billings, this one is fantastic if you want to see the total amount of billings that come through Recurly, okay? We can see net, we can filter for payments and refunds. So again, classic example here is if you run some sort of promotion, you want to make sure that your refunds are in line with that promotion. After it occurs, you can take a look. Maybe at the end of the year, the holidays come up, you want to look at your refunds in early January. You can digest all of that information from these dashboards. Churn analysis. This one is very helpful. So kind of measuring between involuntary and voluntary churn. So as we all know, that's one of Recurly's biggest talking points, is helping you capitalize on those failed invoices in terms of a successful dunning strategy. This is where we can keep track of, who is churning, who is staying with us, and is that involuntary or is that voluntary churn? In other words, are their cards failing and they're churning out of our system, or are they actually clicking cancel to leave the system? Plan performance here. This is where you can pit 2 different plans against each other. Really helpful, especially if you're A/B testing plans. Maybe you're looking at one that has a 7-day free trial versus a 14-day free trial. Maybe you're looking at one that has a free trial and doesn't have a free trial. You can select them from your drop down of plans and pit them against each other to take a look at their KPIs. Recovered revenue. This one is particular to the amount of revenue Recurly is helping you recover. This is part of our revenue optimization engine. So this is, when it comes to the account updater, so obtaining the most up-to-date card information from your subscribers before a transaction is processed, looking at your expiration date forwarding, looking at recycling retries. So during the dunning process when Recurly tries the card again, right? So really important stuff here in recovered revenue. It's actually a really fascinating topic. We love to talk about it, myself in particular. So if you ever want to learn more about what goes into your recovered revenue dashboard, just reach out to our support team, reach out to your CSM, and we'd be happy to talk about it. On each one of your invoices we send you every time you transact with Recurly, we do include the amount of revenue that we've helped you recover. And, it's just a fantastic way to see the value that Recurly is providing on a monthly basis. Dunning effectiveness. This one also relates to the revenue optimization engine. This is the process of capitalizing on those failed invoices. So anyone that is a subscriber of yours that has a failed transaction during a renewal enters what we call the dunning process, okay? This is where Recurly is trying the card on the back end to eventually reach a successful transaction, hopefully. And you are sending emails on the front end through your Recurly account, informing your customers that, hey, the account is past due and we need updated information in order for us to renew the account, or else it will fall victim to involuntary churn. So dunning effectiveness, another dashboard we love to talk about because when we help you optimize dunning, it helps you make more money. It helps you retain more customers. So it's absolutely crucial to your business to have an effective dunning strategy. And we've got some dunning best practices. I don't want to get too into the weeds with dunning, but we do have some best practices. So whoever is responsible at your organization for setting up dunning, just feel free to ask our support team for those docs. We can send them over. They're fantastic best practices. Last but not least here is exports. So we've arrived at exports. This is where you can export any information that's available from this list from your Recurly account in Excel format, right? Spreadsheet format. So everything from account information to transactions. So maybe you've got a question about transactions. You want to look at your decline rates. You want to look at your gateway error codes. Transactions is a great sheet to download. So this one right down here at the bottom. Just download that, execute a pivot table, and do some analysis on your transactions. Maybe you want to look at invoices. That's entirely possible as well. Maybe you want to look at subscriptions and filter out for types of subscriptions and when those subscriptions became active. Look at renewing subscriptions. The possibilities are endless. There are tons and tons of different ways you can parse this data and analyze it. But the important thing to note here is that they all happen under analytics and exports. You can export based off of the time range, based off of the start date, and then an additional factor here particular to subscription, whether it's renewing, in trial, canceled, and a few other options as well. So like I mentioned earlier, configuration here is more towards our folks that are implementing the account, configuring everything on the back end. So we're going to jump in here to integrations. So because this is more of an accounting, finance related webinar, it's important to know where your integrations to those tools live, such as QuickBooks. So it all comes back to your API credentials. So if you click into QuickBooks or Xero here, you'll see here that you can connect to them. We'll just back out of there because we don't want to actually connect right now. And then our API credentials as well. So if there are other tools you want to look at, I know it's common to connect with ChartMogul. They're a fantastic analytics digesting platform, so you can connect with ChartMogul here as well, or any other software that allows you to connect via API key. Now let's talk about automated exports. This one is really cool because we can automate any type of report, again, as long as it's along the lines of what we offer, sent out, maybe on a weekly, maybe on a monthly, or an annual basis. So that can all be configured right here under automated exports. So a fantastic way for you to get that data to your colleagues, maybe to a board that needs that information monthly. It's all located right here under integrations and automated exports. So you'll simply select the export. You'll execute the export options, configure them, work with the API, and then you are good to go. So I know I'm kind of blasting through things pretty quickly, but one other thing to take a look at is under customers. When we come into our various dashboards, you can see the various statuses of our accounts and subscriptions. So you're probably wondering, this is more towards a support agent. This doesn't apply to accounting and finance, but it's important to be able to see, real-time data here of all of our subscription statuses. It's really easy to find here under accounts and subscriptions. So we can easily poke in and see renewing. We can see paused, canceled. You can even take a look at the names, the subscription names, and when they're set to when they were created, and in some cases when they're set to renew. Okay, so next invoice date. So I encourage you to continue to play around again in a sandbox environment before you get into your production site. It's pretty straightforward. After a few times playing around in the system here, you should become pretty comfortable. Just remember there are 5 different navigation elements. There are customers, analytics, configuration, integration, and admin. Okay, admin is pretty straightforward. This is just where we add users to your account, and then choose plan is where you can upgrade or downgrade your plan. And one other thing I'll actually mention here before we wrap up this session is revenue recognition. So let's head into configuration, and I'll show you how revenue recognition works. So I'm going to create a new plan. And just a little background on revenue recognition. This is the ability to recognize revenue at different points throughout the billing cycle. So really, common use cases of this is, do we want to recognize it at the beginning of the billing cycle, at the end, or throughout the billing cycle? Reasons this is important is, subscriptions start in one month. They commonly end in another month. When is that revenue recognized? Is it recognized in June? Is it recognized in July? Or is it recognized every single day from June 15th to July 15th? That's really up to how you want to execute your accounting. But back to Recurly here. So looking at our plan, when we scroll down to revenue recognition here. So revenue recognition for plan cost. You can click the little question mark here. You can be taken over to Recurly Docs, where we can learn more about revenue recognition. We can learn more about the exports. But basically, these are your different types of recognized revenue. So we talked about a couple here. You can select the range, at the beginning, at the end of the billing cycle. And you can see that in action here on the plan level. I've got a couple different options here. Now, if you actually had revenue recognition enabled in your site, you would see all of the options here. Now, keep in mind, this is only available on professional and elite level plans and is considered an add-on. So you would need to work with the representative that you worked with, the account executive or the renewals expert to configure revenue recognition. But again, this is all available just right here within your Recurly account. When you configure a plan, you can also look at existing plans and add revenue recognition to them as well. Well, I think that is everything. Again, folks, the purpose of these learning paths is to help expedite your learning process with Recurly. I know many of you are new to the system, so again, welcome. But this is just a surface level overview of what our reports and exports look like, what automated exports look like, looking at revenue recognition, the types of software that we integrate with via API. So please feel free to reach out if you do have any questions. If you head over here to support.recurly.com, You'll see a fantastic resource where you can submit support tickets. And we do have a very talented team here with us. So you can rest assured if you've got a pretty complex ticket, it will get routed to the correct person that can handle and provide you a valuable response. We also have developer documentation. So if you're working on the back end, we also have product documentation. So learning about things on the front end. An example of product docs is this right here, where we were within revenue recognition. So learning about revenue recognition. So please, folks, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. I want to thank you so much for joining us at Recurly. And thanks so much for joining us today. All right, take care.